So it's the middle of May, and it's starting to get warm outside, warm enough to stay outside longer than a few minutes at a time. And with the current situation, there's not a whole lot to do when you're not stuck at home. One thing that is available to do, the drive-in, is just opening. So I figured it was time to build a custom radio that I can bring with me, because today's cars are not exactly meant for the drive-in. They tend to have a push-button start these days, which means two things. The radio will only stay on for about 10 or 15 minutes at a time, and when it does, every light in the car comes on with it. If you're gonna bring a radio to the drive-in, you might as well bring a drive-in radio. In this project, we're going to start with the 3D printed pieces. We have the front case, we have the rear case, and on the back, you'll find that there are 4 reels for holding the wire. There's a battery hold down and some other random things. I'll show you those now. To drive the speakers, you need an FM radio. If you're going to build a portable drive-in boombox, you should have a car radio because it's the drive-in. The problem is car radios are quite a bit to carry around. You need a battery, and then the radio is, usually pretty big. I was at Walmart the other day, and I found this for $16. That's the whole radio in this box. In fact, the radio, which is a dual, which I think is Walmart's brand, but it's pretty good. It's good enough for what we need. And it's absolutely tiny. It's got FM, Bluetooth, a USB media player, and hands-free for your phone. I believe there's also an app to control it. To run a radio like that, we're going to need a small 12-volt battery. And that'll get you a couple hours. But if we've got the room, because the radio's so small, we might as well use a bigger battery. This is also from Walmart. It was about $26. It's a 12-volt, 7.5 amp hour battery. The radio is going to fit in this hole here, but as I've discovered, my tolerances are a bit off and it doesn't fit. This cage holds onto the radio, and it is just a bit tight for the plastic. In this case, it'll never fall out. There. Next step is to slide the radio in. That is never coming out of there. From the back, we can see that it hardly even protrudes into the room. We can shore up these tabs a bit. There we go. So there's the radio. The battery is going to go a little bit like that. There. All together, not very heavy, a couple of pounds. Once it's all put together, drive-in speakers will hang like so. The wiring is going to be pretty straightforward. This is constant power to keep the memory of the radio stations. This is switched power, which turns on the radio and the amplifier. Ground. Left and right speakers. The rear and the amplifier remote are not used. The other thing we need is a voltmeter for the battery so that we know how much of a charge it has. I picked this one up for about $6 at the local electronics store. You can find them on Amazon. I might try to find a link, or the one I dropped. For the wiring, we're going to use some reclaimed wire. I got some ground, I got some red, and this thin wire will run the memory in the radio. It hardly takes any power at all. In my amp meter for designing this project, it was not even measurable how much power it didn't use. This lead is going to go off to the power switch, the charge circuit, and the voltmeter. This lead will go off to the charge circuit and the ground for the radio. Okay. When you're working with PLA 3D printing, you hardly ever need glue for anything. You can just weld it. This is an internal part. It's going to hold the battery down. If this was an external part, I would definitely consider it a failed print because it came loose of the bed and it just looks horrible. Also, it's the wrong color, but it's going to be inside where we'll never see it. It's going to hold the battery against the side walls like this. We'll just weld it to the sides and it'll never move. When we temporarily hook up the battery meter, we'll see that it's showing that it's fully charged. Anytime we apply power to that, we'll see the voltage. We can't leave it on because it'll kill the battery over a couple of weeks or a couple of months, so we'll put that on the switched lead. Now, with the case design just about finished and all the layout came out completely perfect, I know what you're thinking. Did he forget something? The answer is yes. Where am I going to put the antenna? There's a fix for that. Originally there was a hole right about here in the case for the antenna, but when I combined the model, I ended up moving it, and when I exported it to the printer, the hole was nowhere to be found. This won't be as strong, but we'll put the hole back where it belongs and we'll have an antenna. Printed designs usually leave some rough edges, and they could come apart at the seams, but there's a way around that. It's created by heat, and we can heal it with heat and a whole lot of smoke. There we are. We're back from the drive-in. This radio works really well. You'll notice one difference from the video, and it is this rubber antenna. I broke this one within the first night, and we don't need that anymore. This antenna was about $12 at the local auto parts store. It takes a whole lot more abuse than the old metal one. Turning it on, you'll see that it hasn't used hardly any of the battery charge, so we'll get a lot of movies out of this in between charges. When we do need to charge it, I made this cord. It has a plug that I found in my pile of junk. Plugs in just like that. Then you plug it into any car lighter. Besides the power cord and the antenna, the only other upgrades I've made are the wires are about 8 feet long a piece rather than the standard 6 feet. This one was fine. This one didn't reach past the steering wheel without putting the radio in a certain angle, and as you could see from the video, the antenna had to go up through the window in order to pick up anything. This antenna doesn't stretch, and the transmitter at the drive-in is less than 300 feet away from wherever you're going to park, so it should be able to pick up. I will leave all the STL files for making the 3D printed parts down below, where you can find everything you need.